Dang, Koya, why why did it take you so long to figure that one out? You had to have it absolutely spelled out for you. This is my first impressions on Remake Our Life, or Bokutachi no Remake. This is a series that is airing in the summer 2021 anime season. It kicked things off with an hour-long first episode, and this is my thoughts on the episode, so let's jump into it. Remake Our Life opens up with a boy named Koya, who is currently kind of questioning his life choices. He essentially took a normal schooling and went into the normal business life, but then eventually wanted to get into art like he initially dreamed of when he was younger, and things didn't really work out. He got a part of a Bishoujo visual novel company, and that company kind of failed and went into debt and closed. And as he's coming back home, he's kind of contemplating this fact of like there is this, platinum generation, this generation of great creators that he would love to be a part of, but he feels like his life choices kind of put him on a path that otherwise may have led him in order to get into this kind of stuff. The video games and stuff that he loved so much getting into when he was younger, he's kind of not able to get into. And at one point, his sister ends up finding the letter that he received 10 years prior of his acceptance into an art school. And again, it gets him contemplating, what if I had chosen to go to art school? What if I had chosen this different path in my life? Where would I be? And even though it seems like after this, he gets this one last chance to get into the gaming world and this great gaming company that he gets to be a part of through like this happenstance, it still ends up falling under. And again, while he's contemplating this, this idea of I wish I can go back and change things, he one day wakes up and he is 10 years in the past at the point in which his sister walks in with his acceptance letter for the art club or the art school. And he doesn't know why he's there, but he's like, okay, well, let's do this. I have this chance to redo my life. Let's do this. And so he decides at this point he is going to go to art school. And he goes there, he gets into a dorm and starts meeting different students that are there, and then starts, kind of experiencing what he had missed in his previous life, basically. And a few interesting things kind of come of this, as he seemed to think that having this 10 years experience before would have kind of given him the edge in this new life. Like, I've been literally in the gaming world. He said that he pretty much did everything. He did script writing, he did logo work, he did directing, all this stuff that he had experienced basically in the actual industry doesn't really help him when he's here. He's already running into cases where so many of the other students at their age are doing so much better, and they have the knowledge so much more better. And it seems like he's really kind of lacking a base of knowledge of all this stuff. And this is kind of still, even then, putting him behind. And he feels like a failure in this regard. But it isn't until one of his dorm mates, which is Aki Shino, kind of puts into perspective for him, like, you can do all this stuff and I can't do this stuff. Everybody has their worries. Like, she's kind of putting it plainly. Everybody has their thing that they think they're less in. They all have their struggles. They all have their insecurities that they're facing. And this obviously gives them that little bit extra boost that hopefully, as we'll see going forward, drives him forward. And obviously the big, huge spoiler that everybody obviously knew from the very beginning, if you're paying attention like I was, is that, Aki Shino happens to be his favorite character artist from the future, is literally this girl that he's spending all this time with, which like I said, I got a huge kick out of. I think the reason why it makes it so funny is more in the idea that he knows that this platinum generation of all these creators that he looks up to all came from this school. They were all in this. At some point, he says, the platinum were in this classroom. I know it. He knew where they came from. And yet, he doesn't recognize the fact that, okay, his favorite character artist is Akishima Shino. And there's a girl in his dorm called Aki Shino. Maybe? just maybe? It isn't until he sees her actually drawing the artwork from the cover of the art book that he has before he realizes it. Oh, this is it. And I'm assuming there's another girl named Nanako Koguri. I'm assuming she's the Nana character that is in the platinum generation group as well. In A. So Nanako. But It's my assumption. Like I was saying, as they were going through the dorm, I'm like, yeah, these are all gonna be somebody in that group. And sure enough, I'm like, Akishino, that's obviously. Nanako, it's obviously. But we'll see. We still technically have 2 more characters that we can really get into that are part of that group that they can kind of reveal. But again, I'm assuming it's all the people that are kind of surrounding him. Obviously, it was really funny though because like we already know that this is the publisher for this series is Frontwing. And for those that don't know what Frontwing is, they pretty much did like the Furukawa series. The creator that's writing this series is the script writer for Furukawa. And sure enough, when it goes into like showing his bookshelves, it's just like nothing but Frontwing stuff. It's just like, yeah, islands on there, Furukawa is all over the place. It's obviously drawing that, you know, that fandom there. It's like they have these properties, they can obviously use them. A lot of name drops in there as well, different series. So it's got a nice little, you know, injection of properties and stuff that you'll kind of reference, that they'll reference here and there. That's always kind of interesting. So far, I'm actually really enjoying the series, and I'm kind of surprised. I really was coming into it kind of not sure if I was going to like it or not. I kind of just figured it'd be like, just, you know, the typical fantasy idea of being able to redo your life, which I'm sure pretty much most every single person has had the desire of. It's that feeling that you've made the wrongest choice in your life, and that you kind of wish that you can go back to that point in your life where your future was dead ahead of you and there was so many choices. I think it even makes a reference at some point. Koya says, for, you know, now that he's back here, he no longer has to worry about the, you know, what the world is at. Like, he went from his mind state was going from having your mind always worried about how life is currently in the world and more towards just your future. Something like that. And I really did like that statement. I think it really did kind of nail it in the idea that, again, this concept is really the aspect of feeling the dream of the idea of being able to restart. And I think that's a really, like I said, a thing that'll hit pretty much everybody. It's my mindset that I think it's kind of a dangerous concept to get into, because obviously watching this, I get a little feeling of like, man, I wish I could do that too. And it's kind of a bummer I can't. This guy's really lucky that he can kind of restart things and try something different. But I think it's really important as you're watching something like this to keep in mind that no matter what age you are, you can always change things. Like there's no point in your life where you can just not be able to change things. It's what I'm doing here. I spent a huge chunk of my life in IT. I spent a short period of my life doing purchasing. I got to a point where I was feeling very, very stressed out to the point of a deep amount of dread. And what I chose was to change everything. I dropped it and I changed everything. Now, financially, it's difficult for some people to do that, but I think there's never a too late point that you can decide, this is what I want to do instead. More so, it's very dangerous to feel that you can't. And I think that's a very important thing to keep in mind. But that's the thing with this series, despite the idea that it's almost like it's feeding into a idea of, yeah, become a college student again and get with the girls. All the girls are cute, obviously. He's with a bunch of beautiful girls. They're all cute and fun to be with. He's got his life ahead of him again. He can change all these things. But it still has a sense in there that they're trying to take at least the concepts behind this remake seriously. Like I said, having this concept that he does acknowledge the idea that he can now look into the future again, it does play off the idea of, you know, choosing your path differently. And more importantly, especially with the first scene of them being in the class, they have a director comes in and she immediately points out the idea that, hey, what do y'all want to be? You want to be this? 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 All right, cool. That's awesome. You know, we had 138 people that were in this class last year. How many of them do you think got into what they wanted to get into? And they're like, yeah, 42%. Nope. 8 of them. So it's like this whole long speech about you're going to fail. You think you're going to be successful. And that's a really important idea is there's a million different people that want to be an artist. There's a million people that want to be a YouTuber. But you can only count so many on one hand that are actually successful. Like how many character designers do you know off the top of your head their actual name? I can only name like maybe 3 or 4. The rest of them, either they're not as successful or they never were successful. And I like the fact that she comes in there and literally lays it out like, you're going to fail. Like, this is not an easy. And that's what Koya kind of comes out from. It's like, so basically, it's not going to be easy. And that determination hitting him is really cool. Like I said, despite the fact that later on he'll kind of fall a little bit again and have Shino kind of say, you know, basically that you can do things that I can't and everybody has insecurities, it's still hitting on this idea that he's going to have to work hard. Like, this is not, this remake is not an easy, like, boom, life is great now. He's actually going into a more difficult path. Like, this was his life before, and yeah, he had his struggles, and he had companies go under, but it's going to be even more difficult now than ever before, and I like that it actually addresses that, and that it's really is hitting, besides the fact that, yes, him waking up with a girl next to him half naked, yes, you know, the typical, you know, surrounded by cute girls aspects, all that stuff is still there. Those trappings are still there to make a fun and cute looking show. It looks good. Visually, it looks good. I love the character design so far. But it does look like it's going to hit on some actual tough subjects. And I think that's really got me excited for it going forward. So, like I said, I went into this expecting it just to be fantasy fulfilling, and cute girls and all that kind of stuff. But what I came out with it was a really kind of a possibility of some really strong storytelling that could be there that I'm actually really excited for. So if any of that it sounds interesting to you, definitely check out the series. Again, it's Remake Our Life. It's currently streaming on Funimation, running for 12 episodes. I hope you guys enjoyed this impression. If you did, leave a like down below. Comment, let me know what you thought of this episode, and if you'll be checking it out. Subscribe if you haven't already so you can get all my next videos coming up. I will be doing first impressions on all the series, as well as I will be choosing some to do weekly impressions on. And I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, you take care.